What's up guys, and welcome to my video. Now this video is actually something that I've done before. You may have or may not have seen my Mac versus PC video, and this video has been by far the most debate-filled video that I've done. There's been comments every single day, and there are just loads of comments, and there's loads of people debating, and I guess there always will be debating what platform is better, Mac or PC. Now if you don't follow this channel, you may not know that this is a MacBook Pro with Retina display. It is the latest one and it is the highest end model they sell. And you probably also won't know that I currently have a gaming PC as well, and this PC is of the highest standard. It's got two GTX 680 graphics cards in, as well as a really quick processor that's overclocked, and basically I've got pretty much the most powerful PC and pretty much the most powerful Mac as well. So what's actually better? What platform should you choose and why? So which platform is actually better and which one should you get? Let's start with the usability, and let's start with Mac OS X Mavericks. Mavericks is of course the latest version of Mac OS X, and what's new and what's changed, and is it actually easy to use? Well, to get around in Mac, the easiest way to do that is with gestures. It's very gesture based. And as you probably know, the laptop comes with a trackpad, and this trackpad uses the gestures, or you get a mouse with it. If you either obviously buy a mouse, or if you have a desktop, then you're likely going to use the Apple one. And both of these gestures allow you to get around really easily, and 4 fingers swiping up, you can do all sorts of things. You've got different spaces, so you can have full screen apps and you can swipe just by doing that. And it actually is pretty easy to use. You can get to where you want to go really easily, and once you're there it is easy to navigate, and using the trackpad on a Mac is actually probably one of the best trackpads I've actually ever used. It's really smooth and responsive, scrolling up and down very easy, and you can of course do this sort of stuff on a PC, but it's far easier and far smoother, of course in my opinion, on a Mac. Compare that to a Windows PC. We're talking about Windows 8, of course Windows 7 is still available, but I do like Windows 8. I am a fan, I guess, of Windows 8, but it is touch focused, and realistically most users don't have a touchscreen, whether it be a desktop or one of the tablets. Sure, it might work great on touchscreens, but it doesn't work as well as it should do with just a mouse and keyboard. And that doesn't mean it doesn't work. Getting around is still fairly simple using keyboard shortcuts, but I'd rather have the gestures, and of course that's not always as simple because most PCs will have a mouse like this, which is just a normal mouse, and won't have a trackpad. Of course if it's a notebook it will have a trackpad and the gestures are available, but it doesn't have the Apple trackpad, and most of them don't come close to being as smooth and responsive as this multi-track trackpad. If you've got a touchscreen, then yeah, sure, absolutely, it does work and getting around is very easy. But on a desktop PC, Mac is by far the best option when it comes to usability, just because it's easier to do what you want and easier to get around. But other than usability, arguably the other most important thing is compatibility. If your computer doesn't actually do what you want it to do because it's not compatible with stuff, then it's pretty useless. Again, let's start with Mac. For all editing apps, it is compatible with most of them, if that makes sense. You can get most of the stuff, if not all of the stuff that you're actually going to want, because it's available for you. You can get it, whether that be photo editing, video editing, you know, sound editing, any sorts of really editing or creating documents and stuff. If you buy a Mac, it now comes with Pages and their version of Excel, which of course is Numbers, and their Keynote app, and those are actually really good. They're easy to create templates from, which make your work look really nice by default, and of course you can change it if you want and customize it how you want, but the apps themselves are not actually that stable at the moment. Of course they are new, but I am a fan of using those apps. But of course if you're not going to be doing work, or just generally, there's not actually that many applications compared to Windows out there for you. Windows just has a lot more applications and stuff compatible with it than Mac does. And moving on to the gaming side of things, if you want to play games on a Mac, you can do. I've shown in my MacBook review, and in fact I can do it right now. I can just boot up a game in Steam, so BioShock Infinite, click play on that and it should start working. Well, it won't, because Steam is actually a bit funny and I have to restart Steam whenever I want to play a game, which is a bit silly. But it's small things like that that just lets Mac down. There's a small library of games, a lot of them are ports, and a lot of the stuff just isn't as polished and just doesn't have the same amount of time spent on it that it does in the Windows version, because not as many people actually have a Mac and want to play games on a Mac that they do a Windows PC. I think that's pretty fair to say, and as you can see, Steam doesn't really like the Mac that much. It does work, but it doesn't work anywhere near as well as the Windows version. So you can play games on a Mac, and they will look better on consoles if you have decent enough stuff inside your PC, but it's just not as compatible. So talking about Windows works significantly better at playing games. You can customize what you've got in your PC, so if you want to play games you can build it around gaming. And there's just a much larger variety of titles. Pretty much all titles are available on PC. Of course there are exclusive titles out there for PC. And if you're going to build a gaming machine, you would never ever build a gaming Mac, just because it's a waste of time. But if you have a Mac, you can play games, and you can't skip those. Oh, maybe you can. And you just can't play as many games on a Mac. You can play games on a Mac, but you wouldn't buy a Mac to play games on just because it would be silly. So Windows is a lot more compatible for doing most stuff, and gaming is a lot better on Windows than it is on Mac. But Mac has the edge when it comes to quality control and craftsmanship. What do I mean by this? Well, this is probably the nicest looking laptop available. Especially, it's so powerful, yet it's so thin. Shut it. It just looks the business. It's got pretty much everything you need on it. It's like almost ultrabook sort of form factor, and it is expensive. So if you're going to buy a Mac, you're going to probably fork out a lot of money, but the quality control is brilliant. It's really, really well designed. It's really, really well built, and there isn't really anything about it that you can fault other than maybe performance in some areas, but I'll touch on that a bit later. Whereas a Windows PC is a lot more unpredictable. And of course this is just because many different people will make a Windows PC. They range from cheap to seriously high end, and things will vary. Unlike a Mac where pretty much everything is as you'd expect, Windows PCs, some things are better than you'd expect, some things are worse than you'd expect, and they vary model to model. This isn't necessarily a fault with Windows, it's just the way it is, it's just how licensing works. So while you might pay less, you're not actually getting more, if that kind of makes sense. It's a lot more unpredictable, and if you're going to buy a Mac, then you definitely are going to be getting what you pay for. But that of course doesn't mean that there aren't good Windows PCs out there. There definitely are, and other than notebooks, if you buy a desktop Mac, you're paying significantly more than you would for a Windows equivalent. And if you buy an iMac especially, it looks fantastic, it really looks nice, it's all built into one display, the display is of the highest quality, stuff looks brilliant on it, but it's made up of laptop components. It's sure it is a nice screen, but you're paying, starting at £1,000 I believe, you're getting something that is made up of laptop components, whereas you can get the desktop version if you buy a Windows desktop PC or build a Windows desktop PC that's arguably more powerful, and normally is more powerful, for significantly less, which is why I would never buy an iMac, just because yeah, they look great, but I want to buy a desktop, I don't want to buy a laptop. If I wanted to buy a laptop, I'd buy a laptop. So that's pretty much me done when it comes to my rant. Now the reason a lot of graphics designers and people that do a lot of editing buy a Mac is because it ticks all the right boxes. It's all available in one high-end package. There's not really anything to fault about a Mac other than the price sometimes. It's got all the stuff that they want to use, all the editing apps, and arguably some exclusive apps are better. Final Cut, for instance, is known to be very, very good, but of course, there's loads of other good Windows compatible apps out there. They always come with good displays, both the iMacs and of course the Apple display itself, or of the highest quality. And it's just really easy to use, the usability is nicer. And for a graphics designer, you don't need anything else. You need a nice display, you need it to be easy to use, and you need to be able to do what you want to do through the works and the apps, and the compatibility is fine for what they're using. But of course home PCs are a bit different. They are pretty much these days known as a bit of a fashion item, but people that know what they're talking about know that having a Mac doesn't necessarily mean you've got a better computer, if at all. For my purposes, I've got a MacBook to do work on. I do a lot of stuff for university on here, as well as I do editing of pictures, and I do editing of video, of course, video for this channel. So it's ideal for me. You know, I can play some games on it. Of course, I've got a gaming PC as well that is not actually here, which is why I use this all the time, so I can access all my games through Steam, and it can play some games. It does everything I want it to do, that's why I got one. But if I didn't have any of the gaming set up, would I get a Mac? Probably not, no. I wouldn't buy another Windows laptop, because the way I see it, when I go home, I've got arguably the best laptop you can buy that I'm going to be using all the time for stuff other than gaming. So pretty much what I want is just a gaming machine and a work machine. And unfortunately I can't have both in one package, but when it comes to separate things, I've got arguably the best work machine and arguably the best gaming machine. So that pretty much wraps up this video. Thank you for watching, and of course leave all the comments below. Plenty of comments last time, and I'm expecting good things this time. If you have a Mac, other than saying it's better, tell me why. Tell me why you think a Mac is better. Am I wrong about loads of stuff? Are the games better on a Mac? I don't know. Is the usability better on a Windows PC? Am I talking rubbish when it comes to Windows 8 because I should be using Windows 7 and never switch to Windows 8? Leave me anything you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video if you like this video, and of course if you disagree with everything I say, then dislike the video, as well as leaving a comment. And if you do like this sort of video, I've got plenty of other stuff already available through my channel, and plenty of good stuff to come, so hit that subscribe button as well. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.